Welcome back to the CoStar Real Estate Analytics Training. We're doing Introduction to the CoStar product, and this is video number 2 in section 1 there. So let me share my screen and we will get started. So if you're following along in the PowerPoint, this is section 1.6. We've covered 1.1 through 1.5 in the first section. This is the second one. Hopefully you have the CoStar product up on your screen. You're following along and playing with that as you're listening to this video as well. So section 1.6, we're covering searching for some specialized properties, multifamily shopping centers, and then also underwriting reports. So let's jump in. As you saw before, when you start off searching for properties, you're in here, all properties, and we went through that pretty well in the last video. If you click, now here's a sub menu up here. If you click on multifamily, then things, some of the drop downs and some of the filters will change because they're focused on apartments. As soon as you click multifamily, actually it'll ask you, do you want to start a new search? And you'll answer yes. And the map will be redrawn showing just the apartments. The drop downs will change slightly, number of units, unit mix, and then the filters will change as well. And you'll have average asking rent, effective rent, and rent type, and things like that. And the headings will have other filters in there as well. And you actually have this analytic filters as well, which is cool. You can go to that and change set, look at a special set of filters, analytical related filters just related to apartments. So very cool as you do that. Now, the other option is shopping centers. And from that sub menu, if you click on shopping centers, you will then be taken to a slightly earlier version of the user interface. And you just say you can see the look changes just slightly. Now, when you go to that new version of the interface, it's going to ask you again, do you want to start a new search? And it'll also prompt you for a country. So you'll pick US or UK or Canada and specify that as well. The map will be redrawn before you come here. The map, you'll be just looking at shopping centers with totals at the top, and the filters will change related to shopping centers. To start with, you're going to see things like center type and center size and available space. And then when you click on it, the additional filters, you're going to see other ones, building status and number of stores and year renovated. And then you can even do keyword search, and that's pretty cool. You can specify, you can get specifics here, transit related and all kinds of information, interesting information. Over here, finding properties containing, and you can actually find shopping centers that contain a specific either type of store, but also a specific store. The tenant could be Starbucks, and you could use the find option over here to find all the shopping centers that contain a Kohl's or a shop or a Dillard's or a whatever, a Starbucks or a fast food, something like that. So very very cool capability there when it comes to searching for shopping centers. The third option there is underwriting and rent survey reports. This just brings you to a screen, specify the property type, the report type, full or condensed, location, and then comparables, and to generate one of these reports. Give it a try it out, and pick one and just see what check the report to see what this is giving you. Super cool. Next section 1.7. Here we're going to talk about leasing, and there are a couple sub options under leasing. To start with, we're going to find properties that have space for lease. Now, from the blue ribbon menu, you can click leasing at the very beginning of the homepage, or of course the drop down has a leasing option on it as well. For leasing, there are 3 sub options. For lease is the default. Lease comps, comparables, is the second choice, and then lease analysis is the third choice. So we'll start with for lease. Drop downs, similar to what you had before. The only thing different is listing type. For lease is already provided. Space use, now that's going to be similar to the property type. So the space use, the options will be office, industrial, retail, flex, or medical. And then available space, how much, stars. Notice the options here: filters, sort, save, report more, all very, very same, like we explained the first time. The views are identical to what we had before. The totals are interesting because it does have the number of properties and the number of spaces. And of course, some properties will have multiple spaces. Map icons like you saw before. Good. When you're looking at results, of course, the properties for lease will all be in here. They'll be blue diamonds only because these are active. These all are properties for lease. Properties and spaces are displayed at the top. Placards on the right will show you the properties with the spaces in there. And then, of course, you can use list or analytics to switch views if you want to. Here is the for lease list page. So you're looking at specific properties here to start with, and these are all the properties. Think of it, these properties have space for lease inside the properties. Everything's the same up here. The headings were like what you saw before. You'd start with properties and then additional headings as well. And then you have fields below the various headings. Same thing we learned before. You can scroll to the right to see additional fields for these properties. There's lots of properties available for lease, so you can go, scroll down as well. You can modify the table like we saw before. Good. Now let's switch to spaces while you're here, and you'll notice now you're looking at every space in a property, where before 901 East Carey Street was just a property with multiple spaces. When you click on spaces and go move to that heading, you're now looking at each specific space in 901 East Carey, one on the lobby, a couple on the 3rd floor, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So the space heading has different columns in it. You see the square footage, what's the floor, the contiguous on the floor, the contiguous on the building, and so on, and the rent services and more detail. And again, this is about the various spaces. As you move, go to the different headings, and you're going to see additional information related to leasing as well. But we're going to pick a property, and we're going to go to a specific property. So like back here, if we clicked on 901 East Carey, you would come to the property detail page, and this is, leasing related. It's going to be similar to, it's going to be the same kind of data that you saw before when we were at the property detail page before. Remember, the headings here had all kinds of different property related data. You had the summary at the top. And let's click on lease. Just to remember, when you go to lease, these are showing all the various spaces that are available in this property. These are showing comparables. So these would be, leases that would be similar to the ones that you were looking at. And of course, the stack plan shows you who all the rest of the tenants and where they're at in the in this particular building, and the available space will be highlighted. If you remember, it's on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor. So if you pull up 901 East Carey, scroll down, and you're going to see those specific floors are highlighted because they have available space. Good. So that's spaces for lease. Now, let's look at 1.8. That's leasing comparables. So you're basically looking at, you're trying to come up with a comparable group of leases that'll be similar to yours to use for perspective. And when we click on lease comparables, we're going to come to this screen here that has the various properties on it. We click on lease comparables, and you'll be going to a screen here, you will be switching to the older user interface. It will prompt you for the country code before you go to this page here. And this is showing Blue Diamonds, all the lease comparables. The filter options are displayed on the right-hand side, and that can help you narrow down, leases that you're interested in. Obviously, you're probably going to want recent leases, and you do have those map icons on the left. Now, those map icons are similar to the ones that we saw before. Locations are sort of broken out by zip code, submarket, city, and so on. And so it's a little bit different, but you do have the polygon and the radius and the corridor options like we saw before. That's the older user interface. And again, these are properties that could be used as lease comparables. You can filter those. If you click additional filters, a separate page will come out, and you'll be looking at additional months on the market, months of free rent, how many floors, lots of additional, what type of lease, what's the lease type, and then build out and amenities and things like that to help create a set of lease comparables. And if you go to the list page, again, you're looking at the older user interface, so it's going to be a slightly different look to it. And here are the various lease comparables that meet your criteria. Lease comparables is the first option. There is two other options as well. And this one actually has a pull-out menu. The options on this pull-out menu are mentioned right here, and those are similar to what you had seen before. All the columns of information are here for all of these lease comparables. When you actually go to highlight a specific one, this is the lease comparable detail page, and you're seeing leasing related terms on here. The summary will be lease terms, the tenant, the market, building information, and then various leasing contacts, leasing history, and space availability right now. Photos on the right-hand side. And then if you do click analytics from back here, you will go to a page that shows you various metrics related to the group of lease comparables that you have selected. And you see a couple graphs, vacancy and asking rent, and then you see some stats in here as well. So this is the lease comparable analytics. Good. 1.9 lease analysis. Now that's going to take you to this page here that'll show you various lease analyses that you have created. You're going to have, you can assign a deal name when you're creating one of these, what grouping or no grouping, and then all your lease analyses would appear in a list. When you highlight one, an overview will appear for the lease analysis. Now, when you select it, you go to this second screen that has all the various detail for this lease analysis, and you can share that, or you can generate a report for that specific lease analysis. Good. So that's a couple sections related to leasing. Now let's move to sales, and now we'll look at a couple sections related to sales. 1.10, we're going to cover for sale. Now, again, from the blue ribbon menu or from the drop down, we're going to click on sales. We'll come to this screen. 3 sub menu options when it comes to sales: sales comp, for sale, which we're going to start with, and then auctions. Now, when you click on for sale, like we did here, you're going to see all the properties that are for sale in the area that you've selected. We're still working with Richmond, so you see all the properties for sale in Richmond. Notice listing type is filled in for you when you click for sale. Photos, of course, on the right-hand side. The options and the drop-downs are similar to what you had before, including the map functions and the views. Good. We're going to click a list view to see the table showing all the properties for sale that meet our criteria. We could have chosen filters on that previous screen to narrow it down, but here is sale related data, of course, and we're getting a sale category, sale status, property type, size, sale price, price per square foot, and so on, cap rate, and that scrolls to the right. You see all the columns of information that you're looking at when you're looking at properties for sale. Very, very valuable information here. When you click on a single property for sale, you're going to come to the property detail page, and it's going to be similar to what you had before, few variations, but you'll see the summary data here, similar to what you saw before. Property specific data, just lease general information, and sales comp, who are the tenants, and additional data for each property that you have for sale. If it's a hospitality property type, of course, you're looking at then just hotels for sale. You can put in a sale date in any of these situations. You want to just look at properties that sold as of a certain time. You can do that. That would be sales comps, and then you can look at the hotel related data for these hospitality property types as well. Good. Let's talk about sales comps now. That is the default. So when you start, you are looking at a map view that shows you properties that are currently for sale or ones that have sold in the past. And again, that's where you could put in the date field to say, I'm looking at properties that have sold within a time period, and very common. You want recent ones, not way far back. And so you're looking at the map view to start with, placards like we saw before, filter capability to narrow down your comparables as well. Switching to list view, this is interesting because you're looking at some different data here. This is sales comps related data. So you're looking at the sale price, the price per square footage, what is the sales status, and percent leased, valuable information here. But look at the headings of information when it comes to sale comps. What does it show you? It's showing you the buyers, the sellers, the brokers, the lenders involved in these sales. So really critical information when it comes to sales comparables, really help you make good strategic decisions. If you go to buyers, for example, you get to look at all the buyers involved, information about them, and the number of sales in this particular area. And look at the headings here. You can go to additional information about these buyers as well. So critical information, again, get in here and play with this. Look at the sellers, look at the brokers, and look at the lenders involved when it comes to this group of sales comparables. Here's specific detail page, and that's similar to what we've seen before. The summary information, headings look about the same. The data here is going to have a little bit more sale related information in there, including the people involved. And then sales comps analytics. When you go to that analytics page, you're going to see some of the similar metrics that we had seen before. Again, it's just a group of sales comparables that you filtered down to, and the specific group that you're working with. So here's sales comps analytics page. Good. Related to sales is auctions, and this is a neat section here. This takes you to the specific properties that are currently on auction, and this is with the 10X program, and it's listing all the properties that are currently in the status of auction. So it'll say, are they currently, or are they scheduled? Now, notice here, the results start off in what we call a gallery view, and that's the default, but you can switch to map view if you want to. I'll do that in a minute. Drop downs are similar to what we saw before. A few different types. Investment type is in there, core, value add, opportunistic, or triple N, and that's explained in the foundations coming up. and then the similar options to what you saw before. Here we're going to switch from gallery view to map view, and we're going to zoom out to look at all the auctions going on in the US. Here we're going to go to list view, and we're going to look at the specific properties that are currently on auction right now. So neat capability there. Here's the auction detail page, and notice this will show you some specifics related to the auction itself. When does it end? What's the current bid, increment, next bid, and so on. And then more detail about, not just a property, but about, auction related information as well, with photos, of course. Good. View documents, register to bid, if you're involved. Great. All right, let's look at section 1.13, and we'll be looking at some tenant data. This is cool stuff here. If you're back on that home page, remember that's where it all starts. From the submenu, from the blue ribbon menu, you can click tenants, or from the drop down. Now, this will take you again to that slightly older user interface, and you're looking at here all the tenants in the specific area that you're interested in. You can see the initial filters, space use, how much occupied, lease details, number of employees. But notice you can specify tenant name, and if you're looking for, specific tenants, you can find out where they are in this market, and that could be, Google headquarters, that could be a, particular type of store, and all kinds of different capabilities as you're looking for tenants. So very, very cool capability. You can identify them and figure out figure out where they're all located, and very cool possibilities here. The additional criteria, when you click on that, you come out with some more. What's the leasing services, building, contacts, my data, other options. They're explained. The particular fields you get to choose from are listed right here. So you could look for company growth, for example, who's downsizing, who is growing rapidly, and is it a international office or a regional office? What's the location type? Is it a main headquarters, and so on. So cool capabilities when it comes to searching for tenants. Oops. Here's a list view for tenants, and you're looking at the result list. You're going to specific columns of data related to the tenants, how much occupied, and more information about each one of those. And then from the list view, of course, you can click on one of these and you go to the detail view. Here is a specific tenant. Headings of information, summary, company, building, neighbors, map, and data. So lots of information on these various tenants, including contacts, transactions, little company bio, and a cool way to learn more about the tenants. When it comes to viewing a specific tenant, you're able to go to the map view. If you click on map, you're going to actually look at a specific tenant. Here I'm looking at not Bond Secure Health System, but a particular restaurant in Richmond, and you can find out exactly where they're located. Think of the possibilities. You can zoom into a specific area and find out, hey, what's nearby, and what are the co-location opportunities here. Good. Okay, next up, 1.14 professionals. And from the homepage, if you click on professionals, this is essentially taking you to a directory. It is an older user interface, and you get to filter the directory. You can say, company information, what type of practice, contact information, so you can search for companies or contacts. Couple different ways, map views to do that, and then you can specify the market. So I could say I'm looking for a developer in you know, the Richmond market, and you'll find all the developers in a Richmond market. So this is simply a professional directory, and directs you to specific contacts, and here they are, list of them, and you can go through and see the various data that is available for these professionals in whatever area you're interested in. Good. Okay, that takes us up to the next break. When we come back for video 3, the last video is markets. Now, this is critical stuff, very, very valuable data when it comes to market overviews and market perspectives. So be sure not to miss this, and then we'll do a wrap up at the end of this first section. So great. Hope you're enjoying this, and come back soon.